This song was recorded on an 8-track tape machine in a studio in London called Toe Rag Studios. The reason I ended up in this analog, like willfully backwards recording studio is because I started out making music on a laptop, well, on a computer, and using software, and throughout kind of the first few records I made, I became interested in working in studios. On an album called The English Riviera, I used for the first time like a proper studio and had a lot of fun doing it, but still found that I was like, reliant on a computer, looking at a screen and using like a whole load of tracks ultimately. And so I thought it'd be really fun and interesting to go to a studio where there was like no computer screen and not like endless tracks available. And so this place called Toe Rag in London, it's where the White Stripes recorded Elephant. It's run by this guy called Liam, who's essentially recreated a kind of 50s, 60s recording studio with one of the old, I think they're called Red desks from Abbey Road. And yeah, he's got a Studer 8-track machine, and my idea was to go there and to sort of work within the constraints of that place and to take what I do and put it through the sort of the filter of a analog studio and see what came out the other side. Well, what came out the other side is an album called Love Letters, and this song that I'm going to talk a little bit about is the title track of that record, Love Letters. I mean, I guess the kind of most striking thing, if you look at like this sort of digitized version of the session, is it looks like a kind of post-mix thing or stems, but this is actually pre-mix, and it's just kind of the digitized tape, essentially. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tracks. We use them all perfectly. And the reason it's not a post-mix kind of thing or post-mix stems is because when we came to mixing the record, we actually mixed from 8-track direct to quarter-inch, and the album was mastered from that quarter-inch tape, so all the effects were kind of live, basically, outboard stuff. I come from a sort of way of making music that involves in a lot of, I guess, post-production is what you would call it, and sort of going back to the way that recorded music began, and sort of music production began. A lot of the work, because using something like a 4-track or an 8-track, has to be like pre-production. And from a songwriting point of view, I really loved it because it's like you have to know what the song is before you start recording. You can't easily like loop stuff and repeat sections. You can do it, but it's like not that, it's not very straightforward. So I really like the idea of going to a room, you know exactly what the song is. And the sort of other element which is really cool is, of course, you can use, you can record stereo drums if you like, but if you do, you've used up like 2 of your tracks. And like suddenly thinking about a song in that way is really kind of mind-blowing, because you have to work backwards, and you have to work in such a way that you know what tracks you want to end up with and how you're going to get there. So you can record like a drum kit, and as long as you're bouncing it down or like mixing it down to 1 track, then that's fine. But once you've done that, you can't suddenly unpick everything you've done. And it's just like a way of working which is really sort of stimulating. So with Love Letters, the song, what we wanted to do was get down as much as possible in the room live in a single take. And at this time I was listening to a lot of things like Sly and the Family Stone and the sort of, Beach Boys, but like Wild Honey era Beach Boys. And there was all this kind of, these sounds which I heard, which I figured were due to the fact that it was recorded on tape, and I wanted to sort of get some of that into the song. So what we had in the room were these drums. So this is the fun thing. I wanted to get that kind of chorusy, like not honky tonk piano sound, but like it's kind of a chorusy piano sound using the tape machine. So recording live in the room, we put down 1 piano track. With the main track, we recorded 1 piano take, But then afterwards, we re-recorded the piano kind of bouncing down at the same time, but with the tape, I think slightly sped up or slowed down to get that chorusy effect. So I ended up with this piano sound. So yeah, in the room we had this.